Hello Scorpio and welcome to my channel Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus placements, looking at what you were dealing with in 2025, your energy right now moving into the new year, and what you need to know and expect moving into 2026. Friendly reminder that these are general readings and they are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate fully for everyone. So do please remember to take what does resonate and helps your personal situation and to leave what does not. Last thing is that any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading or coaching session with me is in the description box below. All right, Scorpio, we're going to jump on in and we're going to start with overall energy through oracle cards first. So we're going to look at the energy for 2025, where you're at right now, and what you need to know in order to set yourself up for the best 2026 possible, to align the most with your higher self. So let's start with looking at this 2025 energy first. Scorpio, what have you guys been through this year? What stood out, or what energy stood out here? You're very close to achieving your goal. You made a lot of progress in 2025, but it isn't progress that you necessarily can see the results of externally. So internal progress, a lot of growth, maybe a lot of healing. You maybe even felt like you were taking steps back in 2025. Maybe you felt like you had to go back to spaces and places that you felt you had outgrown, or you felt that you had moved away from. But yeah, okay, because then you have meditate and contemplate, step out of your comfort zone, and believe in the impossible. What's interesting about this 2025 energy is, to you, I feel like there's a lot of frustration and overwhelm and feeling really lost and uncertain, but there's also a lot of progress being made that, like I said, you can't fully comprehend at this time. Now, what's interesting about this energy the most is that the progress that you've made doesn't look like progress at all. And I think that that's why there's this energy of kind of struggle and frustration, is because I feel like you're maybe looking at your outer world, maybe at relationships or the lack thereof, or, you know, what's going on outside of you, and going, nothing's different, like nothing's changed. Yet, as above, so below, as within, so without. As your inner world shifts, as you heal, as you grow, as you release what isn't serving you, you are aligning more and more with what is really meant for you. And I think that what you don't realize is 2025 was kind of like a setup year. And I think that there were certain things that had to take place in 2025 to clear your energy, to set yourself up like in the right mentality, emotional, clarity, things of that nature. But let's look at your current energy here, Scorpio. Steps backwards are steps forward too, even if we don't realize it in the grand scheme of things. Meditate and contemplate again. Right now, I think you are jumping to a lot of conclusions about your life and about what your external circumstances mean. You're going, oh, things look like this, therefore, this relationship failed, therefore I can't have the love that I deserve. Or this didn't work out the way that I expected, therefore I can't have the success or the abundance or the love or whatever, the thing that I was looking for in it. And I think Spirit's asking you to take a step back and look at the bigger picture a little bit, because I think that there's more going on below the surface when it comes to the journey that you're on than you're currently able to understand at this moment. Nothing will come of this situation. Don't let your past hold you back. You hit dead ends. You were looking for peace and happiness and fulfillment and abundance in spaces that weren't capable of providing you with those things. So the losses or the steps backwards that incurred, it's almost like you were on certain paths that weren't serving you, that weren't actually aligning you with the very thing you were trying to receive. Looking for the love that you deserve in people who aren't capable of it. Looking for the abundance that you deserve in paths that limit you. And I think that that's why the steps backwards are steps forwards. As I feel like what you don't understand is that the places in which you've been removed from, the spaces, the relationships, whatever it is, those situations weren't aligning with what it is you're looking for in the first place. And I think that that's where you're needing to kind of, like I said, take a step back and understand things from a different perspective, because as you move forward, this is about opening up to better, to more aligned situations, to more love, more abundance, more success, really. But you have to let your past hold you back. Your past is your past doesn't hold the limits of your future. The things that you've experienced in the past do not determine what is possible for you moving forward. And I think that that's why I said, like, kind of jumping to conclusions about your life based on what's happened. Try to take a step back from that. Your mind is always going to draw you to worst case scenarios. Fear and insecurity and self-doubt are very much like survival mode wiring. Try to take a step back from that. Doesn't mean you shouldn't feel it. You shouldn't experience it. You have to. It's part of the process, right? You got to feel it to heal it. But I think that where you're headed is actually better than where you've been. And I think that you'll see that, well, I think you'll see that when you get there, but okay, you have what do you need to release? So there were certain things that needed to be released to open you up to new. I didn't set the intention. All right, what does Scorpio need to know moving forward? Ooh. Adjustments are required. So there's a redirection taking place in 2026. You and your loved ones are safe. A very divinely protected redirection. What does this lead to? Nothing is yet set in stone. Look at the bigger picture. That's why you had, okay. Well, hang on. What does this lead to? What does this lead, Scorpio, to, this redirection here? I want one more. Or maybe that's the whole point, is not knowing. Dreams need a practical plan. The things that you desire. So, okay. I said look at the bigger picture so many times here, and then it's interesting seeing this card, and it's like nothing is yet set in stone. This redirection isn't certain. You have to allow yourself to flow with this redirection, because if you keep trying to force what isn't meant for you, if you keep trying to, put yourself into situations and into cycles and into patterns and into relationships that kind of lead to the same outcomes, then you're going to experience, the same outcomes. But if you allow yourself to shift in a different direction here, there's more abundance than you are ever going to be able to find, than you are ever going to be able to find in these situations. So a very divinely protected redirection. And what I feel like that really means is the universe is never going to let you settle where you're not meant to settle. Meaning that certain things will continue to not work until you release them fully so you can move on to better. Doesn't mean you can't have the love, the abundance, the success that you desire. It just means that this is going about looking for it differently, right? Which is the hard part. Our ego doesn't like different. Our ego likes control and predictability. All right, overall theme of this here for you, Scorpio. If you do the same thing over and over again, you're going to get the same results. Nothing ever changes if nothing ever changes. Same patterns, same habits, same decisions, same behavior, same addictions. Those are always going to lead to the same things. Protection, I said it. Divinely protected path, and we're seeing it right there. You have been very divinely protected from something. To you, it feels like a loss. To you, it feels like a missed opportunity. To you, it feels like you've lost the only thing that's ever going to bring you, love, success, abundance in the way that you want. But you've been very divinely protected, which is only going to lead you to better. What else does Scorpio need to know? Oh, okay. Spiritual cleansing. Truth. Okay. These things needed to be removed from your life. I don't know what this is talking about. A relationship, a job, a path. I don't know. That's not really the point, okay? I don't think I'm really here to know that. You obviously know. You wouldn't be watching this reading if you didn't know. But certain things had to be cleared from your path because they weren't serving you. They weren't aligning with you. And here's the thing. Your job is to really understand why certain things weren't fully aligning with what you deserve and desire, so that you don't find yourself trying to search for the happiness, abundance, peace, and freedom in the exact same or similar situations. That's how we repeat cycles. So Spirit's saying, you've been divinely protected. Divine protection sometimes looks a hell of a lot like unanswered prayers. It looks a hell of a lot like things not working out like we expect. It looks a hell of a lot like loss. But that doesn't mean, grand scheme of things, big picture, it's bad. It means there's a bigger plan, a bigger or a deeper reason than we're currently able to understand and grasp with our little human minds. So we have to be willing to take a step back and to trust redirection, right? Redirection will always lead us to better. But a lot of people, and this is something that I've learned just on my own journey of being somebody who struggled with this and on my journey of helping others, a lot of people resist redirection with everything that they've got. Not because they don't want the very thing that this redirection is taking them to, but because redirection requires stepping into the unknown. It requires the belief that things can get better without you fully being able to believe that or understand that or feel that in the moment, right? Blind faith, if you will. But the thing is, that's the only thing that's ever going to allow us to have the very thing that we're trying to draw into our life, is having faith that it always exists for us. And our goal and our power, really, is to look at what decisions we need to make that are healthier or more aligned to lead us to healthier, more aligned situations. So let's dive into this more. Let's look at this, Scorpio. Believe in the impossible. You're very close to achieving your goal. What does Scorpio need to know about this past energy? What have you been dealing with? I think we have a pretty good idea, but I want to break it down a little bit more. The ending, death, right there. The ending of something. I don't know what it was, but it ended. And it was painful. Yeah. 5 of Cups, disappointment, grief, sadness. And I think you put a lot into this. And I think that's what makes this even harder. Is you're like, well, I put everything I had into it, this relationship or this path or whatever. Well, those planes are really loud. And it still didn't work. Does that mean that what I have to give isn't enough? No, absolutely not. What you have to give is enough. What you have to give in terms of love is enough. What you have to give in terms of effort is enough. In terms of talent, skill, knowledge, ability, whatever. It's enough. It can always be improved, but it's enough as it is. You are inherently enough. When we're in spaces that make us feel like we're not enough or what we have to give isn't enough, it doesn't mean that we're not enough. It means that our outer world is showing us where we believe that we still aren't enough. So there's some mirroring going on here with certain situations happening in this past energy. What else here for Scorpio? The Star. This is a lot of healing. I think it's healing that you didn't necessarily, well, maybe for some of you, you did. But healing that you didn't necessarily, opt into or choose the path of. A lot of times we heal when we're just feeling, when we're crying, when we're angry, when we're processing emotions. That is healing. And it doesn't always feel like it, but it is. I think 2025, I think you're really tired of having to heal from things, I think is what it is. I think you're ready for stability. I think you're ready for the word that's coming to mind is sustainability, something that can be sustained, a relationship that can be sustained, a path that can be sustained. No more endings and new beginnings. Now, one thing about life is that there's always going to be endings and new beginnings, right? Death and rebirth is the only constant, but when it comes to having certain things in our life that can stick by us, that we can sustain, we have to understand what does and doesn't align with us. And I think that that's a lot of what this whole reading is about. What else here for Scorpio? Yeah, Four of Swords in reverse, and I could have guessed that. Tired. Your soul's tired. Tired of maybe this cycle, tired of these situations, tired of feeling like this. You're tired. And I think that that's why this energy was so important too. One of the things that I learned, and this is just an example, and I don't talk about myself in my readings for no reason. I talk about it because it gives a story to the energy, but I had so many failed relationships before I met my husband. Just failed relationship after failed relationship. And I remember jumping to the conclusion, love isn't something that's sustainable or possible. Like, marriage is a lie, all these things. And the reason for that was because of my experience, right? Well, now I'm in a marriage, very happy in my marriage. But there were a lot of things that I had to understand about how I was showing up to be able to attract and sustain what I have now. And I think that that's a lot of what this journey is about, is being willing to go within and look at things and go, okay, what was this trying to teach me? How is this trying to teach me to show up better, not to be loved by someone else or to be chosen by someone else or to be enough or valuable or, whatever, validated by someone else, but enough for me, to align with me, to align what's right for me. So let's look at this current energy here for you, Scorpio. It's like if you look for love in emotionally unavailable people, you're never going to find it. If you're an emotionally unavailable person looking for sustainable love, you're never going to find it, right? We have to look at where we hold the key to the pattern, to breaking out of a pattern, so that we can choose differently. Love is coming through very heavily in this reading, but it doesn't have to be love. Page of Cups in reverse. King of Pentacles. Interesting. Yeah, you're focusing too much on circumstances right now. You're saying, well, this didn't happen, or this should look like this, and since this doesn't look like this, and this didn't happen like this, oh my goodness. It's a lot of cards in reverse. Strength in reverse. Wheel of Fortune in reverse. Very focused on circumstances, on how you think things should look, on how you think things should have played out. One of my favorite quotes is, just because it could have been different doesn't mean it would have been better. And this quote has carried me through a lot of seasons in my life. And I like it so much because we are so focused on what we think needed to happen, or how we think things needed to play out, or what we think needed to be the end result. And when we're so focused on what we think should have happened, we miss the whole point of life, which is everything is truly happening for some sort of reason if we're willing to find it. And when we're focused on how we should have made things different, we're never going to find that reason, right? We're never going to figure out what the purpose of that was, how that was pushing us to grow, to heal, to evolve, to change, to show up different. If we just sit there and we go, it should have been this way, or it should have happened this way, or this should have been the case, then we're going to sit there and we're going to go, the opportunity is over. I can't have the love that I deserve. I can't have the success that I deserve, the abundance that I deserve. It's behind me. But it's not. You've never lost the opportunity to be happy, loved, or abundant, or successful. You've merely taken a step in the direction to get closer to that. And sometimes the step toward it is loss. It's endings. It's what feels like failure. And it doesn't mean that you have failed. It doesn't mean that you have lost the opportunity. It means that there's something there that your soul is on this earth school to learn. A way in which you're here to heal, to grow, to evolve, so that you can align further with the thing that you deserve and desire. You don't attract what you want. And you don't attract what you deserve. You attract who you are. You attract who you believe, what you believe you deserve. And when we start to look at those things honestly, we take our power back. Otherwise, we remain powerless. When we say it should have happened like this, or it should have looked like this, or it should look like this, we remain powerless. Because then in that moment, we're saying, I have no control over this. And you don't have control over what happens to you, but you do have control over how you respond. You have control over how you interpret it. You have control over the meaning that you attach to it. So what does Scorpio need to know moving forward in 2026? Our perspective is everything. And if we're so stubborn in our perspective, and again, I say this not from a place of judgment, but merely, purely from a place of experience, if our perspective is so stubborn that we say, it should have happened this way, and since it didn't happen, enter worst case scenario, I'm going to be alone forever, I'm never going to be as happy or abundant, then that's going to be your reality. Your perspective creates your reality. The truth in which you acquire through the things that you experience, that becomes your reality. That's what you have control over. So moving into 2026, there's a need to look at things a lot differently. 7 of Pentacles. This is about commitment to yourself, not to something or someone else. I think you've been really committed to being what you think other people want you to be, maybe what you thought a relationship wanted you to be, or a boss wanted you to be, or what you felt the world wanted you to be. This is about recommitment to yourself. One of the most beautiful things I've learned about life and about the human experience is that we are all born inherently enough, inherently lovable, inherently worthy, inherently deserving. And if we didn't have the childhood that teaches us limiting beliefs about ourselves and traumas and experiences that make us start to internalize things that are inherently untrue, such as I'm unlovable, unworthy, love is hard to come by, success and abundance require mental and emotional sacrifice. Like, we inherit these beliefs, and these beliefs become what we experience, but that doesn't have to be the case. The life that you deserve is on the other side of believing that things can't get better. And I think that for you, as you're moving forward, this is about committing to something different. This isn't about trying to be good enough or trying to be what you need to be. This is looking at yourself and saying, if I woke up tomorrow, or today, whatever, and I could truly believe that I was already enough for everything that I desired, how would I show up differently? What would I stop pushing away? What would I stop chasing? How would I open up? How would I allow things to flow? How would I not self-sabotage? Because when we start to look at the role that we play, we start to show up different. We start to show up better. I see all the time, this is going to be my year. 2026 is going to be my year. And the really tough, honest truth is it's not unless something changes. It's not unless something changes. Nothing ever changes if nothing ever changes. So if you're looking at your year, and this isn't coming from a place of blame, we're not supposed to look at ourselves and just blame ourselves for all the things going wrong in our life. That's certainly not healthy, but we're supposed to look at where we have power. If you're constantly finding yourself in relationships with people who don't choose you, love you, or value you, how are you needing to choose you, love you, or value you? If you're constantly finding yourself struggling mentally and emotionally, just burnt out all the time in order to make the money that you need, what belief is existing there? How are you showing up in the belief that that's what's necessary? And this doesn't mean, again, that we, blame ourselves for the things that are happening in our life, but we empower ourselves to understanding that we have more power and control than we think, but it's not over what happens. It's over what we learn from it and how we take what we learn and show up different moving forward. And that's what you're being asked to do in 2026. Truly, look at your 2025, look at things that unfolded and say, if I could go back in time, not from a place of regret, because everything happens for you to learn what you need to, but from a place of, if I were faced with this situation again, what would I do differently? How would I set stronger boundaries? How would I speak my truth? How would I be more vulnerable? How would I not self-sabotage? Because in those moments, that's where you find your power. That's where you find the answer you've been looking for. Oh, this situation taught me to set stronger boundaries, to not look for love in people who show me that they're not capable of giving it to me. But we have to be willing to look for those answers if we ever want to find them. There's a lot of good things on the other side of this here, Scorpio. You've been divinely protected from what was never meant to work. And look at that. Look what's on the other side of this. Alignment. 2 of Wands. This is all about alignment. Alignment with the path that's meant for you. Alignment with what you really deserve. But alignment isn't something that just happens. You don't wake up one day and you're in alignment. Alignment is a conscious and intentional decision. It's a choice. It's a mindset. It's patterns. It's habits. It's what your day-to-day looks like. That's what alignment is. So I think for you in 2026, this is about looking not at what you can't control, but really, really trying to shift your focus to what you can, to figure out what is this experience that I've been through, what is this asking of me right now? How is this asking me to heal, grow, evolve, change, do better, do different? Because that, again, that's the only thing you have power over. And when we're willing to look at that, we're willing to trust that everything is happening for a reason. The opportunity will never be behind us. It will always be ahead of us. And everything that's behind us is teaching us how to get to what's ahead of us. All right, Scorpio, I'm going to hop on over to the extended. We're going to dive deeper into this, ultimately looking at what you need to do right now in order to move forward in alignment with your higher self. So diving into that tangible advice, any information for that is in the description box below. Thank you so much, Scorpio, as always, for your support of my channel. I do obviously hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, I wish you nothing but love and healing and all of the wonderful things you deserve and desire on your journey moving forward. All right, bye, Scorpio.